Hey guys, thanks for watching Digging Deep. And today I'm going to do something for you guys. Had a couple people reach out about carb tuning video, so I'm going to do my best to make a video for you guys, for the novice guy that wants to know how to tune your common full or ATV carburetor. Old man's up there splitting some firewood. What's up guys, thanks for watching Digging Deep, and today we're going to jump into some carburetor tuning for the novice person. You pull a carburetor off or replace it, rebuild it, whatever you're doing. You get one that's way out of whack from the guy you bought a bike, dirt bike or ATV from. Now, I do not have any MX style carbs on hand to reference to, guys, and those are a little bit different with accelerator pumps and so on and so forth. So they don't lean out, give added fuel into the combustion chamber. But generally speaking, these should put you in a ballpark with 2-stroke and 4-stroke. They can be adjusted just a little bit different. But the quote-unquote air fuel screw, we're going to go over that. A lot of people don't know, or a lot of newbies won't know the difference from air to fuel screw. Let's get in close here, guys, and take a look at some of the common carburetors and show you some tips and tricks, guys. For starters, I'm definitely not organized and definitely messy here, guys, but kind of laid some stuff out just to show you guys real quick. So as you can see here, this is off of a, I think this is like a Mikuni copy, Chinese carb. It does have an aftermarket fuel screw here, which is nice and handy. Because a lot of times, guys, this is like the style carb you'll see on like your 300EX or 200EX or so on and so forth, 4-stroke carb. And once you have the carb on the bike, you want to adjust that fuel screw. It is a little hard to get to, so you can get these aftermarket ones. Very handy. Keep that in mind, guys. I'm going to try my best not to jump around here. Okay, there's 3 main circuits here. We got the idle circuit. You're going to have the needle circuit, and needle and slide, and you're going to have your main jet. All right, for starters, guys, I should have got a cable. I had some old cables laying around. For starters, guys, this is going to be your adjustment. All your service manuals are going to show a free play adjustment. And basically what you're going to do is get your cable in there. You'll have a spring. I'm trying to show you guys without a cable. It's going to be a little bit tough. A lot of times I'll take the cable. You'll just take your fingers, hold back the spring while you're pinching on the cable. And you're going to set that in here and slide that down and lock it in place, and then the spring will snap down in there, and then that'll be all one unit to slide into the carburetor. Okay, you get that all in. That'll have to slide, this groove will have to slide in to that throttle stop there, idle adjustment, throttle stop, whatever you want to call it there, and that should be getting you squared away to about ready to fire the bike up. Jetting is very important, guys. You always want to look up your jetting specs for altitude and temperature range. Very important, guys. That will change how your bike's going to run. So find out your jetting. You can always pull service manuals off the internet. If you can't find the service manual, there's information out there somewhere, guys. In a thread, poke around. You're gonna find out. You might have to dig a little bit, but you should be able to find that out. Okay, so you get your throttle on, you get your throttle cable on, all that. Here's where a lot of people mess up. They like to get their throttle into place. Now, some carburetor guys, some carbs, you could put this in backwards. And if you do that, it will run pig rich. So what you want to remember, this being the engine side, this being the intake side of the Venturi there, right? Air filter is usually bigger. Engine side's usually a little bit smaller. So the slide will get down in there on that groove, or on the throttle stop there. Oh, that's not the right slide, so that's why I'm struggling with that. All right, my apologies. So we're going to use this carb. So this carb, same thing. Right here is your throttle stop, idle adjustment. So you have your spring, cable, all that on here, your needle sitting down in here, like so. And basically, what was that? My apologies, just making sure my dad didn't kill himself out there. So basically, you're going to find the throttle stop, find the groove in the slide. Again, you can put them in backwards, and it will run. It'll run like garbage. It'll run really, really rich. So right there, if you look closely, that arch always has to be where you can see the little gap there. That'll be on the intake side. Now, you shouldn't see daylight through there. That should close all the way. Once you get this set up, guys, you should have the idle adjustment backed out. And when you're hitting that throttle, and like I say, free play is a big thing. Don't have the cable so tight to where there's no free play in the throttle. You should have just a little bit of free play in the throttle. But you shouldn't have the cable all sloppy, if that makes any sense. Okay? So when you're blipping that throttle, you should be hearing this. When you're letting go of that throttle, if you're not hearing that, you have the cable too tight or you got your idle adjustment too tight. So, if you look closely here, when you set a bike up, if you want to have it in the ballpark, you can stick the slide in there before you get it on the bike. If you're lucky enough to be able to look in there with it mounted up, you can go that route too. What I usually like to do is get it meeting the slide, and I don't know if this is going to come out too good in camera, but if you look very, very closely, you'll start to see that slide raise up. And right there, we're seeing the slide raise. Soon as you see the slide starting to move, I usually give it a full turn. One full rotation should get you somewhere in the ballpark. Now, this is just generally speaking across the board. Some of these adjustments can be a little bit different on different bikes, but that's a good rule of thumb to start. Some 4-strokes or some service manuals might give you however many turns, or take the screw in all the way very lightly, guys. Even on the air and fuel screws, you don't want to crank them in on how many turns in, and then you back it out 3 turns or whatever it may be, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, so you got this mounted on the bike. You have your slide in, cable adjusted. You done adjusted your throttle stop, idle screw. So you're going to come on over to the idle circuit, which would be what controls the idle. Get this set and leave it be, guys. Get that set and let it go. You're going to jump over here. So this being the air screw, this come off a 2-stroke. Very similar to 4-strokes as well. The air screw is going to be on the air filter side. The screw here, air filter side. This screw here that you would see on some other carbs, like this 4-stroke carb right here, is on the air filter side. Now that could be up underneath, they could be on the side, come in from weird angles there. But if it's on this side, on the engine side, it's going to be a fuel screw, and your air screws are going to be over here, like you see right here. Real easy stuff. So basically, if you got an air screw, let's say it's on a 2-stroke bike, you're letting air in by going counterclockwise on the screw. You're letting air in by going counterclockwise, which is going to raise the idle and lean out your idle circuit fuel mixture, okay, which is going to bring the idle up. Okay, a lot of bikes on the 2-strokes are 1.5 turns. 4-strokes can be a little more. Sometimes I've seen 2.5 turns on that fuel screw, so they can be a little different, but usually it's stated in the service manual. But as long as you get it close, you should be in the ballpark. In theory, on 2-strokes, across the board, 1.5 turns. So you get it set there, and the bike's running, and it runs for a little bit, wants to idle, and then it shuts off. Well, you're too rich on this idle circuit. You want to bring the screw out counterclockwise, which will raise the idle back up on the air screw. A fuel screw is just the opposite. Just think of a fuel screw as you're opening it, more fuel's coming into the carb, right? As you're opening the fuel, you're letting more fuel into that idle circuit. So that's the difference between an air screw and a fuel screw. That's like this carb right here. This come off a KTM 50. It's extremely odd for it to be a fuel screw on a 2-stroke, but they do it at times. So don't be surprised if you're like, you don't pick up on it being on that side of the carb and it's going the idle's going a different way. Well, that's because this is an actual fuel screw being on the engine side of the carburetor. So with that set up, that should get your idle close. If you are supposed to be at 1.5 turns, and let's say you're 3 turns out, well, that means your pilot circuit is running way rich, and you might have to adjust your pilot jet, which would be the smaller jet right here. Okay, main jet, pilot jet. So you would have to reach at that pilot circuit, get that in a ballpark, but you should be able to pull up your specs and get it somewhat close, unless you have a highly modified engine, and then you might have to play a little bit more with figuring out which way to go or how far to go and so on and so forth. So we got the idle adjusted. We got the idle screw adjusted. You got your air screw adjusted. The bike's running good. This is the very important part that took me some time to figure out, was the needle adjustment, guys. Very important for 2-stroke, for 4-stroke, very important. So let's dig in here. So this right here would be the needle, okay? And I know my focus is every bit of horrible on this camera here, but you'll have 1 through 5, 1 being the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 being the highest, which would be the leanest, because it's allowing your needle to drop into the carb feather. 5, needle 5 being more rich, because you're bringing the needle up. This right here is where we're riding 90% of the time, right, guys? 8 to 3/4 throttles, where you're out hammering out of the turns, trail riding, even out on an MX track, whatever. So if your bike's just not running like the next guys, or you're not real satisfied, you got a fresh engine, that's what you need to attack. This right here, pop this out and make adjustments. Now, very important as well, how do we tell whether it's lean or rich? Real easy. Rich is sputtery. It'll have a sputtery, also known a lot in the chainsaw world, called 4-stroking. And if you listen to it, an engine, especially a 2-stroke, and if it's real sputtery, the signs show easier on a 2-stroke, because they are a little bit more finicky and have to be dialed in perfectly to have them running at optimum performance. So you can definitely tell a difference, or tell a little easier on a 2-stroke. If it's sputtery, that is a sign of it being very rich. Now, how you tell a lean condition is if you're getting into the throttle and it's just the engine's dying out, which also known as a bog. You'll be hitting the throttle and it'll just boil. That's a lean condition. Shut the bike down and go back to the drawing board, guys. And a lot of times it's this right here. It is your needle height adjustment. If it's bogging out, if it's idling good, and you're transitioning into the mid and it's starting to bog, well, get in here and take this needle down. Say you were at needle 3, we'll take it down to needle 4. See how it runs. You always want to start on the richer side of things too, guys. If it's calling for needle 3 upon your elevation and stuff, well, maybe you should try needle 4. Always start on the richer side of things. It is more work sometimes, but it's also safer work. Yeah, especially until you get enough experience to kind of know how the engine is running. And also, what's really important is when you get it running pretty good, take a couple rips, bring the bike back, shut it down, and pull the good old spark plug out. Now this one, yeah, I just pulled this off the shelf. But anyhow, pull your spark plug out and read it. I'll drop a picture right now of how to read a spark plug. So basically what it's going to be is, still this needle here, this lower band right here is one I plug chopped. That is your main jet, which was a little bit fat. Not bad. You want about a 2 millimeter band. If it's really, really faint, you're lean. If it has a nice band on there like this, and about a coffee can look, that's dialed. That's money. The next band, which would be my blue marker here, this is if you rode your bike for about 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, and shut it off and go to read it without plug chopping. And then the white portion here will be your idle. So that's how you could pull your bike out and check things. You look at the top band. If it's got a coffee tint to it, coffee brown tint, hey, you know it's running really good. If it's really black, you know it's rich. And if it's really, really white and grayish, you know it's lean. So that's how you check all that out, guys. Read plugs, 100%. If you want to know how that engine's running, read plugs. I don't care if you think it's running great. Oh, I pulled away from my buddy. Oh man, ride this thing, it's running awesome. Pull the plug, read it. 4 strokes, you don't have to really plug chop. 2 strokes, I highly recommend it. And a little trick of the trade, guys. When I first started plug chopping, I was using a cutoff wheel, and it still took about 10 minutes. This here will bring it down to about 2 minutes. Hey guys, I want to put this video in real quick in regards to the whole plug chopping and me talking about plug chops. You're probably wondering, what is he talking about? If you don't know, tuning very much. It's a popular thing for 2-stroke tuning. And basically what you want to do is run the bike wide open throttle, and that's what's going to give you the band and the spark plug reading picture I posted. And the furthermost down on the spark plug will give you what you call a smoke ring, and that smoke ring is going to be what your jetting is at wide open throttle, which is very important. Also mid-range, you want to do those in 2 separate reads to be 100% accurate. So that's what a plug chop is. There's a lot of videos out there on YouTube, you can look it up, but basically you're going to put a fresh plug in it with your engine warmed up. You're going to run it down the road a little ways, football field or so. If you don't have that much space, put the engine under a load. It'll give you a better reading if you don't have very far to go. And then pull the plug back right out, and you're going to read. You're going to cut and read the porcelain part on the plug. If you want to see me put a video, let me know in the comments. I'll make another video on doing an actual plug chop. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. Come in, put this in the vise, come in from the top, drill that out a little bit, and your porcelain will right out of there. So this is a 5/8 hole saw with no pilot bit in there. So hopefully that helps people. So the main jet is basically something, again guys, it's 3/4 to 100% throttle. Very important to know that you're not running lean, especially when the engine's running that high RPMs. You can melt a piston down in no time in a lean condition. You can also do a plug chop to get that band on the bottom. And let me back up, guys. If you're gonna build a bike and you're gonna run it, you definitely want to buy, like right here, I got a box of spark plugs, 4 spark plugs, because I knew I'm going to be doing some more tuning on my CR125. It's pretty much dialed in. I know it's dialed in, but as these temperatures are crossing over to 30 degrees or so, I just want to make sure, because it's getting cold and we want to be fatter. Good theory I like to remember is, we all fatten up in the wintertime, right? We got Thanksgiving, all these meals. That's one way I always remember. You're running, you get fatter in the wintertime, right? Not to not to offend anybody, but that's the way I remember. Anyhow, so filter side, air screw, guys. That can be on a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke, but commonly a 2-stroke. This side, engine side, that's always going to be a fuel screw. Commonly seen on your 4-stroke bikes. It can be on 2-strokes. Like I said, oddly, my son's KTM 50, I think that's a Mikuni, but they have like a Delordo Italian carb. They like to have the fuel screws. For some odd reason, that's how they design their carbs. So mainly, for the most part, you're going to have an air screw on a 2-stroke, fuel screw on a 4-stroke. This is Raptor 660 junk Chinese carbs. There's where your fuel screw would be on these. And a lot of times you want to set them close or have that handy style fuel screw in there that you can get in there and adjust it. That is the way to go, guys, because it can be a pain in the butt. Those are just little brass Welch plugs because I guess they don't want you, they got like a factory preset. They don't want you messing with it. But I think the Raptor carbs actually have where you can, they're actually fuel screws in there. That's just a crap Chinese carb. Here's a McCuney off the CR back here. Always in the center portion here, guys, will be your idle adjustment. Not to be confused by your fuel screw or an air screw if it were to be over here. Idle adjustment, centermost portion, throttle stop. It stops the slide. I think I covered all bases here, guys. So I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything, and if anybody has any questions and pops onto this video, I'm going to try my best. Alright guys, I did miss something that's also very important. All your service manuals will have a spec on what your float height should be set at. And a good way to set your float height, or know how to set your float height, is basically you tilt your carb out and you want to come to about a 45-degree angle. And that right there, folks, is going to be your float height. On most all carbs, from the base of this carburetor, the measurement would be to the farthest portion on the float. Now, that's on most carburetors. The measurements on how they want you to do it could change, but most of all of them I've ever worked on is going to be from the base of the carb to right there. You're going to get a micrometer and take that measurement. A lot of people may want to try and do it with a carburetor set down like this, and that's going to seat the needle into place even further down. You don't want to take the measurement like that. You want to have the float coming out, and you want to get to about a 45-degree angle. And if your float height is plus or minus, and you want to get it dialed in, you're just going to pull this and out and bend the tab. Also, a lot of these floats, unlike these metal older style floats, if you're bending that tab, be careful, because you can tweak the, see how that's bending back and forth? You can tweak these one way or the other. You want to keep that, you want to keep both of these level as possible. You don't want to tweak your float. So remove the float to bend the tab. Hope that helps. I just wanted to throw that in here. To get in here and answer, one of the main things I can say from my experience and you know, getting a carburetor set up, and let's just say, for instance, like this CR. Now, I do have a modified engine. I do have it ported out. When I got the bike with the stock McCuney, I think it was like a 380 main, and I can't even remember, like a 50 Pilot or something like that. Now, I'm not 100% on this, and you would probably want to start a needle 3 position. So basically, you know, get your jetting dialed, get it close. It doesn't mean it's going to be right. You want to check, you want to pull the spark plug. I was running pig rich on that carb, and I had since put an air striker on it, and it has been awesome. And on that note, JD makes really nice jet kit for a lot of your carbs, stock carbs. This was one I picked up right there. Highly suggest this. This is just for the PWK 38mm air striker, you know, with all different size, 125 through 500 2-stroke. What a difference that made, guys. Maybe I'll make a whole nother video about that. But again, guys, if you have any questions, comment down below. Shoot them my way. I hope this helps a lot of you guys. If you want to see different videos about different topics on how to tune one way or the other, a lot of times these 4-strokes will have in the service manual what to set the fuel screw at. Some actually do come with a plug on there, and they don't want you to mess with them for that fact. But again, if you are modifying your engine, it's something that you're going to want to adjust. Get the throttle screw set. Like I say, back it all the way out. You want to hear that. You want to hear that slide snapping, guys. If you're not hearing that, you got it way too high up. You're going to idle high, and bike's just not going to run right. Tune your bike once it's warm, guys. Warm it up for 10 minutes and then tune it, because you'll just be fighting yourself. You'll be back to readjusting it once it's warm if you get too carried away and don't let the bike warm up. Guys, I hope this helps with anybody trying to tune carburetors for the first time. Novice guys out there trying to get their bike right. It takes tinkering, and experience is the #1 thing. Getting out there and doing it. These videos aren't going to make you a master. A lot of it's going to be trial and error, guys. But know what to look for when it's lean, okay? Bogging, lean. Sputtery when it's rich. And I'm going to try and close it out this time. Again, comment below if you got any questions. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.